everybody. Welcome to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio's 1 year anniversary show. Try saying that 3 times fast. But the anniversary show is here. Welcome, one and all. And thank you for joining me right here on itmiradio.com. Today's date is Wednesday, April the 11th, 2012. I want to thank everyone for listening. We just got through with the Court of Champions. Had an improv from the fans segment with Smooth Gentleman. Talked about a various of topics. Thank you for having me back on, Smooth. Please check his show out. Court of Champions, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, on itmiradio.com/Court of Champions. Of course, today is a very special day for yours truly. It was back in April the 14th, 2011, when this very show made its debut on itmiradio.com. And here we are, 48 guests, 49 shows, and 362 days later, because April 14th of this year will be 1 year, here we are. And there's too many people to thank. To all those who have listened to this show for the past year, to Felony Fox and the United Wrestling Federation of Georgetown, Kentucky, to Thomas Darnell and MLW, and to all those who have listened to the show, I personally say thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for the support of the show. This show would not have made the 1 year mark if it weren't for you guys and gals. I truly am humbled and appreciate you all listening to this show. Remember, on ITMI Radio, Sports World Radio, now known as the Red Bastard Sports Show, was the only sports show on ITMI Radio until Triple Threat Wrestling Radio came along, and now Court of Champions about a month in on ITMI Radio. So it's good to see that the sports genre is getting the platform here on ITMI Radio. So Chaos, Dennis, the boss of ITMI Radio, thank you for giving wrestling radio a platform here on ITMI Radio. So I want to start off the show with that. Now we can get on to the WWE portion of the show. Of course, there was SmackDown last Friday, Raw this past Monday, and SmackDown's Blast from the Past, which was just yesterday. And where do I begin? I go with SmackDown from last Friday first. Of course, I'm going to get into some TNA talk a little bit later and make my predictions for the Lockdown pay-per-view. I am live for the next 2 hours. Just a schedule side note, Triple Threat Wrestling Radio will be back at its 1 hour time slot starting next week at 8 p.m. This is our last Wednesday show of 3 weeks. I want to say hey to a man who's been listening to me since the chilling days and now Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Fozzie's joining me. Travis is here, and Smooth Gentleman is here. Hello to one and all, and for those who may be listening on the outside, who's just listening to on ITMI Radio but may not be in the chat room. Jeff is still on a hiatus. I want to thank him for co-hosting with me for most of the first year. Of course, Jeff is still on hiatus because of his work, but he's still doing chilling with me. So for those who haven't been keeping up with the show as of late, um, I'm gonna go ahead and get into SmackDown last Friday first. Of course, it looks like we're gonna have Kane versus Randy Orton at Extreme Rules. Not sure what to think. I'm not too high. I'm not too low on Kane and Orton. I'm on the fence. Uh, as far as that storyline. Um, then you had Otunga and Henry defeated R-Truth. I guess everybody who affiliate themselves with Big Johnny, Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis, whatever you want to call him these days, they getting the special treatment. Anyone who was against Big Johnny, well, you in for a long people power era, as he likes to say. And then you got this guy by the name of Ryback, who some of you may know, formerly known as NXT wrestler, and now Nexus member, Skip Sheffield. And Travis referred to him as the sheep shepherd's flag bearer. I don't know what to think of him anymore. So I just want him off my TV. That's for damn sure. Of course, yeah, Big Show and Heath Slater. Big Show handle his business. Continues to quote unquote embarrass Cody Rhodes. But obviously the big story came from Del Rio versus Sheamus. It was Alberto Del Rio's first match since coming back from an injury. And I guess Alberto Del Rio, way to be original, trying to pull an Eddie Guerrero on Sheamus and the referee. And somehow it worked. Took a page out of Eddie Guerrero's page book. What's going on, Barney Maston? He used the chair, trying to use it to Sheamus. Sheamus hits him, knocks the chair down. As soon as he picks up the chair, referee Chad Patton turns around, sees Sheamus with the chair in hand, and looks at Del Rio, looking like he got hit in the head with the steel chair, and calls another disqualification. And after Ricardo Rodriguez unknowingly celebrated, Chad Patton got a bro kick from Sheamus. And damn, it was a good kick. I just love those kicks, especially when a wrestler has or a referee has their back turned and then they turn around and pow in your face. And Andrew is done playing Call of Duty. That Larry looked like it broke the kid's neck. I don't know how he got up after that. Chad Patton, that is, the referee. That's pretty much all I need to discuss on SmackDown for last Friday. Now on to Monday Night Raw. Is Chad the unluckiest ref ever? He's always getting his ass kicked. I thought it was Charles Robinson that gets his ass kicked, but that's here and there. On to Monday Night Raw. Of course, the Three Stooges guest starred on the program. And I think Brock Lesnar must have forgotten that he's not in the octagon. He's in the wrestling ring. After he gets smacked in the face by John Cena, he takes him down and goes UFC on him. I mean, Brock Lesnar, you do realize you are in the wrestling ring. You're not in the octagon. But we're going to see what he's truly made of come Extreme Rules. the Brock Lesnar experiment. He better have a walk like performance because, as I said last week, there were reports that some wrestlers are not happy that he has returned. The same people not happy that The Rock made his return. So Brock Lesnar, he better have a walk like performance if this is going to work or not. I will tell you that right now. Um, I will tell you this right now. Brock Lesnar, I mean, he people say he looked out of shape. You know, he may have gained a little too much extra pounds. I mean, we're gonna really see what he's truly made of. Um, we're gonna see what he's truly made of come Extreme Rules, and of course, John Cena and Brock Lesnar have had a rivalry back in 2002. Um, and that was when I think Brock Lesnar was one of the premier stars. I think he was already WWE champion. Well, remember, John Cena's first WWE title opportunity came against Brock Lesnar at Backlash in his home state of Massachusetts. Um, Fozzy goes on to say, I can see why, though Brock and Rock get paid a lot of money to work limited schedules and get loads of screen time. That's just what it all boils down to. The only difference is, at least Rock, he has an excuse. He's a Hollywood star. Brock Lesnar just retired from MMA back in January. So he's got nothing else to do. I mean, what's he gonna do now that he's no longer MMA fights? So you can Brock Lesnar, he's gonna be on television more than The Rock is because of Rock's movie schedule, I guess. Um, and then you had Mark Henry and CM Punk. Of course, on the previous wall, Jericho speared some Jack Daniels on Punk, Mr. Straight Edge, and then he smashed the bottle on the back of his neck. And then this past Monday, he had a match with Mark Henry, got himself disqualified. And then, from what I have seen, Chris Jericho, he didn't give you the Jack Daniels this week. He gave you some local Washington, D.C. beer. He didn't give you no Bud Light or Budweiser or any other major beer. He gave you that local Washington, D.C. beer. If you look at the can, look at the box, it looked like Dr. Pepper. But obviously it was beer. It looked like it had the Dr. Pepper logo to me. Now, at least at least from the storyline that it looks, they stepping away from Punk's parents. Now they want to get into Punk's straight edge, his sobriety. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. And Jericho spilling beer all over Punk in the middle of the ring, gives him a couple of code breakers. Um, I don't and you know WWE, they do a lot of odd things. Like, for example, right after that Jericho and Punk thing, you know what they show? They show the Be a Star campaign commercial. That's very odd, if you ask me. How do you go from a segment, you know, you got wrestlers playing as characters, abusing or bullying people, and then you go to this? It seems kind of odd to me. Um, I just don't get it. I just don't. It's just it's very very odd. Um, you gotta you gotta think a little bit. You know, I'm all for the cause and the anti-bullying, But wrestling and anti-bullying, and then you got characters portrayed as bullies. I don't know. I think that the WWE anti-bullying thing is a bunch of bulk bunk, says Trevor Hayes. You don't want to complicate things. I understand you got your good guys and your bad guys and stuff, but it's just the timing of it. After someone gets beat up or after someone gets sent to the hospital, then they show the anti-bullying commercial. You know, that's bad timing. Now, if you were to show that commercial right after a talking segment, that would be different. But bullying is just physical bullying, and that's verbal bullying. And I guess that's never a good timing to show that commercial. It's never a good time for WWE or TNA or any other organization that tries to show those commercials. It's odd, and it's very awkward. It's very odd. I'm not gonna say awkward. I'm gonna say odd. It's very odd to me. Um, David Lord Tensai took on Yoshitatsu. I'm liking this. I guess you can call it Albert 2.0, A Train 2.0, Lord Tensai. Not so sure about the tattoo on his face, the whole, you know, Japanese stuff on his face. Not sure, not what to think of that, but I like this Lord Tensai dude, and I'm curious to see what WWE is going to do with him. Um, Obviously, Yoshi Tensai, a real Japanese guy. He's from Japan. Uh, he lives in America now, but he's originally from. So, um, okay. I was just leading a private message, so bear with me. Scott Hall. Not sure what to think of this guy anymore. Razor Ramon. You know, if you haven't seen the ESPN E60 special on him last year, you gotta check it out. I'm sure it's on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search Scott Hall E60. It's a show on ESPN. Talks about his drug issues, his substance issues. Um, it's and now there's a report that he put his hand on his girlfriend. Um, you was who is trying to help Scott Hall is what I want to know. Is it Sean Waltman? Is it Kevin Nash? Is it anyone close to him trying to help him? Because whoever is trying to help Scott Hall is not doing a good job about it. This dude was one of the established bad guys in the WWE back in the 1990s. I mean, he was indeed, and I guess this is the problem with wrestlers. Sometimes they trying to get caught up into the wrestling lifestyle, to the real lifestyle. You gotta realize you're not in the wrestling ring. You're not in the wrestling ring. You're not performing in front of people. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You gotta realize where you are. You being a wrestler. It just don't work. Whoever is trying to help Scott Hall is doing a poor job. And this dude is gonna end up bad if someone don't help him out. I watched the E60 special. He's been to rehab. WWE tried to help him. Stephanie McMahon was saying that they put more money into Scott Hall than any other former talent. And they won't even say who. They won't even say how much. It's just if these allegations are true, then he deserves the ridicule that he gets. That was that E60 special. I agree with Travis. That was just sad, man. That was sad to watch because I grew up watching Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. I mean, the tooth picking, the the greasy hair, you know, that strut he does when he enters the wrestling ring. This dude had it all. And for him to be a punchline, for him to just, and you have his son trying to be like his father. I just hope that he does. I hope he doesn't go to that same path that his father did, because he's a good kid. Scott Hall's son is a good kid. There was a report later, weeks after that E60 special, that his son didn't want nothing to do with him. It's one thing for friends don't want nothing to do with you, but family, flesh and blood, your son don't want nothing to do with you because you keep having these relapse after relapse with the drugs and everything. I mean, who's gonna help him? A lot of people try to help him. Family, friends. What more can you do? What more can you do? It's sad, man. But wrestlers are just like everybody else. They're human beings. They are bound to make mistakes. But this guy made one too many. He made one too many mistakes. He's lucky. He's lucky that he's still alive, as far as I'm concerned. I will say that. Um, I think I went through everything. The real beat writer, Clay and Santino, interesting tag team, defeated Ziggler and Swagger. And now we're gonna go ahead and get to the SmackDown recap. My first guest of this 1 year anniversary show will be Casey Carlisle. She will be calling in about 3 minutes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get into to the SmackDown. Blast from the past. Legends and Hall of Famers under the same roof as the SmackDown talent. The only good thing about that show yesterday was the Piper's Pit with Daniel Bryan and Roddy Piper and AJ. You know, when you check out the Piper's Pit, you know you're in for a heck of a great segment. I'll tell you that right now. I thought it was a good segment. Piper trying to let Daniel Bryan know he's wrong for what he did. Um, and I think that's the first time I've seen Daniel Bryan wearing the yes, yes, yes t-shirt. Every time he's in that ring, fans just felt the need to say yes, yes, yes. Do I think that the yes chant is going to replace the what chant? That remains to be seen. We got to give it time. The yes chant's been going on since WrestleMania for about a week and a half now. So we gotta see how it evolves. It only so far the yes chant has been around Daniel Bryan. Everybody else gets the what chants. So we gotta give it time. It needs time to marinate. So it needs time. And I want to say hello to Sign Guy. Welcome to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio's 1 year anniversary show. Thank you all for being here. Chaos, who is the boss of ITMI Radio, is here. Thank you for listening. Of course, this is the 1 year anniversary show. Taking a look back in the past year or so. I have I mean, let me ask y'all this before I get Casey on the line. Do y'all think the yes chant is gonna replace the what chants? It's gotta be more than Daniel Bryan if this is gonna work. At least that's what I think. Daniel Bryan's a talented wrestler, and I'm happy to see that these two guys will face each other. He and Sheamus, 2 out of 3 falls at Extreme Rules. At least we know that will last longer than 18 seconds. Smooth says already died off. Um, I'm just saying. I say give it time. Give it a couple of months, and then we'll see if the yes chant will be right up there with the what chants. Oh, and check this out. Okay. Okay, when Smooth comes in, tell her Smooth said, do you have until 5? Okay. Okay. Okay, Smooth. You got it, man. I listened to that interview last week. it, it was something else. And ladies and gentlemen, my first guest at this time on this 1 year anniversary show. I had her on last year, and this is the only show that I get to bring back former guests. I'm happy to be joined and welcoming back to the show Casey Carlisle, and she's joining me right now. Hello, Casey.
Hello.
Welcome back to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
How are you?
I'm doing real good. Thank you so much for being here.
Good. Thank you for having me back on. I appreciate it.
Before we get into the getting caught up with you, I have a message from Smooth Gentleman, who you was on. He was on you was on his show last week, and don't shoot the messenger. Okay, I'm just telling you what he said, and I'm giving you the correct quote. When Casey comes in, tell her Smooth says, and I quote, do you still have until 5? Your response. Your response. That
My response is I always have until 5.
Okay.
That's it. I always have until 5. Unless I'm outside the ring, and then you can double that, and I have till 10. So he can chew on that and try to come up with something clever for next time.
Okay, there you go. Again, don't shoot the messenger. I'm, you know. So,
that's okay. I like you. That's the difference.
Well, I appreciate that there, Casey. Let's get caught up with you. I've been keeping up with your work for a while now, and you've been on this website called Pro Wrestling Digest, and they refer to you as Babe of the Wrestling Babe of the Day. Let me ask you this: how do you feel seeing websites that considers Casey Carlisle a babe? I mean, what's your take on
that? Should I? Are you saying I'm not a babe? Is there something wrong with that?
You are a babe to me.
No, it's flattering. It's anytime I'm the babe of the day or the wrestler of the day or the diva of the day or, anything like that. Whenever somebody recognizes me, if it's in the context of being a babe or if it's, whatever it may be, it's flattering, and I really appreciate it and very humbled by it. It makes me blush a little bit, so it's a good thing nobody's looking at me because, then they would see me blush, and that would just not be good. So, no, it's really cool, and I appreciate it very much. It says something, it means a lot when somebody's willing to kind of spotlight you like that. If they think enough of you to highlight you on their website, then, I appreciate that really very much. There's not, nothing negative can really be said about that.
All right, again, I'm joined with Casey Carlisle here on Triple Threat Western Radio's 1 year anniversary show. Now,
Happy anniversary, by the way.
thank you so much.
Very cool.
So I want to take a trip down memory lane since this is an anniversary show. We take a look back. This is the I'm gonna tell y'all a story about Casey first time on the show. And of all the guests I've interviewed, she had to put up with me most because of my circumstances. You see, right around the summer of last year, I was living in Kentucky at the time, and I had to move to Georgia. So I asked her if we can move it back a week, and she said, "Sure, not a problem." And then once I moved to Georgia, everything was all good, and then some of my radio equipment was was still in the storage, and it didn't came in time for the following week. So I asked Casey, I hate to do this to you again. Can we take it a week back further? She said, yeah, sure, not a problem. So we got the interview done 2 weeks late, and all I can say is you're a great sport. And you said you moved in and out a lot, so I guess you know a thing or two of moving in and out of places. So I know I said thank you last year, and I want to thank you once again for that.
Well, you're very welcome. That's not a problem. I, I'm appreciative that you are interested in having me on your show. So I appreciate the time you're giving me, and that's the least I can do. Things happen. That's a little thing in life. That's nothing to get worked up over.
Good point. Um, so let's talk about your upcoming shows, upcoming events. Talk about the shows you have coming up.
Okay. Let me see if I'm going to go off memory here. There's actually quite a few, so bear with me for just a moment. I'll run them down as quickly as I can.
Okay.
The next one coming up is on April 21st, and that's for the PWF. Um, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name of this town correctly or not, but it's in La Vergne, Tennessee, which is near Nashville. And that's going to be at the HWA Arena there, and I'll be taking on Sojo Bolt that night on April 21st. The week after that, I will be in Greenwood, Delaware for DCW at the Greenwood Fire Department. I'm not sure who I'll be facing that night, but I'll be up there. And bell time on these are all, I believe, 7:30. The following Friday, May the 4th, I will be in Kaiser, West Virginia at the National Guard Armory for EPWA, which is Elite Pro Wrestling Alliance, and I'll be taking on Jesse K that night. The following night, I will be in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is my first time back down in Georgia since I think 2008 or so, and that's going to be for NWA Deep Southern Championship Wrestling. Scheduled to be in a three-way match that night versus Tiffany Rocks and Jessica Wetmore. The week after that, on Saturday, May 12th, I will be in Glen Burnie, Maryland for the Maryland Wrestling Federation, and I'll be taking on Ada Marie that night. The week after that, I am in Yanceyville, North Carolina for Pure Pro Wrestling, and that's going to be at the Yanceyville High School. The following week, I'm going to be in Norfolk, Virginia at the Norfolk Scope for SPW. Not sure who I'm taking on that night either. And then the following week, the first week in June, on June 2nd, I will be down in Asheboro, North Carolina for CWS, which is Carolina Wrestling Showcase, and this will be my first show with them. And I'll be taking on Persephone that night, and that's going to be at the Central Gym down there. So that's what I have coming up the next few weeks, and I will, of course, be adding dates as I get them confirmed, or, God forbid, if one gets canceled, then I'll be updating that online as well, so I'll keep everybody informed.
And for more info on Casey Carlisle, you can like her on her Facebook fan page. You can follow her at Casey Carlisle as well. She's gonna be pretty much all over the East Coast and in the South, so she'll keep you posted on all that and her upcoming shows and events. And right around the time I move back to Kentucky, you actually gonna be in Georgia, so I'm a bit bummed about that. But
Isn't that how it goes?
yeah, just circumstance.
So maybe by the end of the year, I will be.
Well, I wait for the day that happens. So
Well, I'm trying,
yeah,
so keep your fingers crossed. That's what I always tell everybody. I'm trying to get, a little further out. So many fans keep asking me if they can come to their area, and I'm trying to. It's just a matter of getting it worked out. So cross your fingers there. Maybe it'll work out, and I'll see you in Kentucky.
Kentucky people, wrestling organizations, OVW, UWF, KZW, any other organization for that matter. Get this woman to Kentucky, please. Get her on here. Get her to the Bluegrass State. Make it happen.
Do it,
This
do it.
woman will take on anybody. Anyone, anybody, male, female, don't matter. Just get her in here, Kentucky.
Right.
Especially OVW, since they need some people to face Taylor Hendricks. So we shall wait and see. Um, do you have any other goals you have setting for yourself in the year 2012? Is there any championships you want to go for? Anything else particular?
I always have the goal. I always have a few consistent goals. I always want to, work in new areas, and that's one of my top goals this year. I really one of my big things is I'm really eager to, to spread out a little bit because I do have fans in a lot of different areas, and I want to be able to travel to those areas and wrestle the wrestlers in that area and test myself against them. And I want to be able to perform for the fans in the different areas and so forth. And I love to travel, so that's one of my top goals this year. My other goal is to eventually capture the championship for any promotion that I do walk into and that I do become a part of. Championships are always at the top of my list. So that's my other big goal for this year. And then, of course, long term, I'm constantly, of course, have the goal of, trying to move up in the business and go up towards the top and find somewhere. That's more long term, but it's always something that I have in my head and something, that in some way, shape, or form I'm always striving for. So you never know, but lots of things going on, trying to just, you know, perform for as many of the fans as I can and test myself against as many different girls as I can and kind of just push myself to the limit, for the rest of the year.
And do you have anything you want to say for your upcoming opponents in the coming weeks and months? Anything you want to say to them?
Uh, my standing advice for my future opponents is always I suggest you work on your conditioning and I suggest you prepare your body to be bruised and battered at the end of the night because I don't hold back. Once I'm in the ring and once the bell rings, it's business and it's on from that point forward. And I don't care who I'm in there with, they are getting my all. And they're going to feel it. They're going to be hurting. I am not going to let them breathe. I'm not going to give them a second to think. So just be prepared for a beating and you may survive.
Translation: I'm not holding back. You might as well not show up because you're in for a rude awakening.
I
Uh,
want them to show up. Oh, I definitely, because otherwise I don't have a match and I enjoy getting to beat on people. So yeah, I definitely show up. Just be prepared.
that is a great occupation. You get to beat up people and just get paid to do it. That is great.
And I damn do I enjoy doing it.
Got a question in the chat room from Sign Guy, and
Yay!
yeah, he's in the chat room and he wants to know when if there's any chance that you'll be in the Pacific Northwest. That's a question from Sun Guy.
I hope to be. Yes, that is one of the areas I am trying to travel to this year, the Pacific Northwest. They have a wrestler out there who I, in fact, was supposed to have a match with last month, but unfortunately that didn't happen, by the name of Lila Lodge. And, I know that there's a lot of people out that way, Sign Guy included, who would really love to see that match. And to be honest with you, I would love to have that match as well. She and I are kind of built the same, and our styles are very similar, and I think that it would be a really interesting matchup. So, Sign Guy, yes, hopefully within 2012, I will be in the Pacific Northwest at some point in time. Just got to make that happen somehow. It's all about getting the details ironed out and just being able to make it happen.
You know, like I did moments ago, better tell your Pacific Northwest indie wrestling organizations book Casey Carlisle. Make it happen.
Do it, do it.
And
Yeah, anywhere. I mean, the thing with me is I love to travel and I'm willing to travel. And unfortunately, I'm not able to drive everywhere. I do, as much as I like to think I'm Superwoman, I'm not. And so at some point it gets difficult. But, I just want to go as many places as I can and meet as many people as I can, wrestle as many people as I can. So hopefully 2012 will be the year where that starts becoming a reality.
all
More so
right,
than it has. I've actually been very lucky with how much I've gotten to travel.
all right, that was Casey Carlisle joining me, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Again, thank you for calling in on the 1 year anniversary show. Best of success goes out to you, and
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on again.
you have a good night.
You too. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, bye bye.
Bye
That
bye.
that was Casey Carlisle here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. And yes, I am aware that the second guest just tried to call in. And you know what? I'm going to give prime time Amy Lee a call. Uh, I can call her instead of her calling me. Uh, yeah, she tried to call me as I was trying to wind down the interview. If you don't know who prime time Amy Lee is, and don't know who she is, she is the WSU commissioner. She is a wrestling legend. And of course, WSU is coming off of the 5 year anniversary show. We're going to get into all things WSU, and I'm looking forward into getting Amy Lee on the phone. She is one of my favorite guests. Chaos. I've already did the voice
Hello?
drop with her. Hey, Amy.
Hello?
Amy, it's Kenny.
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you so much for coming back. I mean, I can't do this 1 year anniversary show without prime time, so it's
Happy anniversary. I was telling my husband tonight. I said to him, I said, I'm going to, do your show tonight. And I said, it's his 1 year anniversary. I said, I'm so excited for him. And my husband was like, that's good. He said, especially nowadays, he said, when there's so much media out there, like on the internet and stuff. So he too says congratulations.
and before I get into you, Amy, one of my chat room listeners, Chaos, I've already did a voice drop with Casey from last year, so she don't need to do that again. And Amy and any other former guest that calls in already done voice drops, so they don't have to go through all that. So, considering they are returning guests and all, so Miss Primetime, WS Miss Primetime, WSU just coming off of the 5 year anniversary show about a month or two ago. You were there.
hmm
It was a fun-filled night for what I've heard. Let's talk about the show. How do you feel about it from start to finish?
Well, I mean, there was a good opening match with Athena, and she really shined pretty well. Tina San Antonio and Marty Bell were battling out. I thought it was going to be more grueling than what it was. It was more of a battle of who's the better wrestler than who's the better ass kicker. And like afterwards, I had spoke to Marty Bell, and I said to her, I said, I was pretty shocked. I thought you were going to go in there and just annihilate her. And she looked at me. She says, "Yeah, I could have done that, and we could have done like a no censor rule and a hardcore match." She said, "But that's not my style." She said, "That's your style." She said, "I just wanted to show Tina that out of the two of us, I was the better wrestler, and I feel as though I did that tonight." And I said, "Well, yeah, you did." I said, "But I said if somebody lied and betrayed me and almost cost me my titles, I said I'd have beat the living shit out of them." And she said, well, I agree. She said, "But it was the 5 year anniversary. I didn't want to be negative, blah 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 blah." So, I said to her, I said, well, I said, you want another match? You got it. So, as far as it stands now, I believe April 27th, April 27th, she and Tina are going to go at it in a such a ruled match, which should be interesting. So, I said to Marty, I said, this is somebody who lied to you, betrayed you. I said, you guys are like sisters. I said, you guys work at the same job together. I said, and this happens. I said, it's repulsive. I said, I've done some really, really horrible things in my time. I said, but I never betrayed a tag team partner. I never lied to them. I said, I never jeopardized belts or anything like that. I said, so I would be really pissed off if I were you. And she says, oh, I am. She said, I was trying to stay positive and keep positive energy, and I just wanted to prove that I was a better wrestler. And she says, now I'm going to show her that I'm just a better person altogether, because I am going to just kick the shit out of her. And I was like, well, there you have it, folks. So, it was good to see Rain on the card. There was a lot of talent that was there that, I remember when Lexus just first walked into a locker room and nobody really knew too much about her. And I had watched her match and I seen her laying in the forearms, and I said, this girl's got some spunk to her, and management at WSU had noticed that, and as well as some of the veterans in the locker room. And she's just every time, stepping it up and proving herself each time. So I give her kudos for that. And we got a new champion there, Jessica Havoc. Not only is she a Spirit champion, but she's now the WSU World Champion. And I'll tell you what, that was a very, very grueling match. And I have to give Jessica Havoc kudos where it's deserved, because she really took an ass whooping from Mercedes, and but she gave it back just as much as she took it. It was a really good match.
I definitely have to agree. Jessica Havoc showed that she belonged. She can hang with the big girls. And as for Mercedes Martinez, just the 3-year title reign. Title reigns in any organizations don't last that long, but 3 years out of 5 for WSU, that's pretty damn impressive. And
well, I said to Mercedes that night, I came out there, and I usually, when it's something like that, I stay in the background, but I went out there and acknowledged her 3-year reign. And I said to Mercedes, you have nothing to shame of yourself, and you want a rematch, you're automatically entitled to it. You don't have to go through the roster because you've proven yourself, for 3 years straight. And that, as far as I was concerned, she was the female version of Bruno Sammartino when it came to title reigns.
And from what I've heard, Martinez and Havoc will go at it again. I think either at the King and Queen show or the J Cup show. So she will be getting
J Cup show.
Yeah,
it will be the J Cup show. It will be back. It will be back in New York, where titles change. I said we're going to bring it back here for the fans.
It was not only a big night for Jessica Havoc, but it was a big night for the Midwest Militia altogether. They have every single championship belt, and
they do. As negative as they can be and shady and all, they are well-rounded, talented girls, and I should say young women, and they wanted it, and they came there, they saw it, they conquered it, and they walked away with it.
They showed that they want to send a message, obviously, and they did just that, and they have all the belts. Now they're going to get tested for these upcoming shows. Not only is, like you said, Jessica Havoc's defending her world title against Mercedes Martinez, but Jessica Havoc's got to defend the Spirit title against Marty Bell. So, and Marty Bell, now that she gotten Tina that win on that 5-year anniversary show, and she wants to take the next step in her singles career, and going after that Spirit title would definitely be a good start.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. These girls are really stepping it up, and I'm glad to see that, because a lot of times people get to a position in their career where they start getting a push, and they allow that push to affect them, and they become sloppy, Whereas like Jessica Havoc dropped 25 pounds before this match, got new gear, really worked on her cardio. You know, same thing with Sassy Stephanie and Allison Kay and Marty Bell and Lexus. These girls are like going in that gym and they're working out. You know, they're not just in ring shape; they're like in physical conditioning shape.
Now, obviously, WSU, they do pretty much majority of their shows in the New York and the New Jersey areas. And now that
Yes.
this company has made it past the 5 year mark, is there a possibility of maybe WSU expand themselves as far as doing shows in other areas in the country?
Well, actually, they've expanded themselves to Canada.
Mm.
They've hooked up with NCW Femme Fatales, with oh God, Amy, you're drawing a blank tonight. Lufisto with
Oh,
her organizations up there. So,
all right.
but as for like the southern states and things like that, you have to understand it's very hard when you live up in this area to promote down there. So you would need somebody from that area to promote it properly, and that's where time and money comes in. And we all know you don't make a ton of money in wrestling unless you're Vince McMahon.
Again, for those
That's why WSU offers the IPPVs and the DVDs so much, and the downloads, and Click Wrestling and stuff like that. So the fans across the country can be a part of WSU even though they're not there physically.
right. Speaking of Click Wrestle, yesterday they had a sale for your match versus Jessica Havoc for 75 cents, and I downloaded it.
75 cents.
I downloaded
I should have been $750.
it. You can't get any better than Click Wrestle. I mean, if you don't take advantage of those 75 cents on Tuesdays and Thursdays, then I don't know what else. I think we just lost prime time. I think we just lost her. Uh, well, hopefully she'll call back. We just talked a little bit about WSU's 5 year anniversary, and they got some shows coming up. They have the J Cup show, King and Queen of the Ring show coming up, and she's calling back. Brian Ty Amy Lee is calling back if Skype allows me to do so. I mean, I'll click on the answer button. Technology, I tell you. Primetime Emily is trying to call back, and I tell you, man, Skype is not that stable as people say it is. I'm clicking the answer button, and it just won't let her get in the call. I just don't understand. Okay, Skype will not allow her in the phone call for some reason. Skype gets on my nerves. It really does. And I apologize to Amy, but technology can be very unstable. Even in the 1 year anniversary show, I might add. But that's just what it is. If you haven't heard of WSU Wrestling, you need to get out of the cave and check them out. You can download their matches over at clickwrestle.com. I did for 75 cents. Tuesdays and Thursdays. You got to go to the Twitter page and check them out. And apparently, I just tried to get her on here, and it's not going through. As we head into hour number 2 of Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. And she's back. Hey, Casey.
Hey, you guys hung up on me or something. What the Fruit Loops?
It is Blame Technology.
Oh, no, that's okay, because we got bad windstorms in New Jersey, and I know my computer's been goofy and stuff like that because of the wind. I didn't know if it was my end or your end. So, I'm back.
So, Amy, we talked a little bit about the 5 year anniversary show, and I want to get into more on the WSU's J Cup show. That April Hunter, who won her opening match at the 5 year anniversary show, she will not be competing for that. For what I've heard, is that true?
I actually, it's funny you mention that because I have a meeting with WSU management Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. So nothing's been brought to my attention. I mean, I saw that on Twitter as well. I hope it's not. April's mom's been very sickly, so I hope it's nothing like that. I hope it's just maybe a conflict of schedule. I hope it's nothing of an injury part or anything with family matters or anything like that. So, I pray that it's nothing serious. I just hope it's like a conflict of schedule. So I don't know. So I'll find out tomorrow night.
All right, so it is the J Cup tournament. It's going to be a double taping, and that's on
Mhm.
Saturday, April 28th.
Yeah, I said the 27th.
Yeah. And that's coming up over at Deer Park, New York.
Yep.
So all the ladies that won their opening matches at the 5 year anniversary will face one another, and of course, the winner of the J Cup will get an automatic title shot at the WSU champion, whoever that may be, either Mercedes Martinez or Jessica Havoc.
Right.
So and also on the 14th of April, as you pointed, WSU and NWS presents the King and Queen of the Ring. So WSU talent's going to be paired up with some guys. Talk a little bit about this event as far as, because we all know WSU is all woman all the time, but you got guys in this upcoming show. Talk a little bit about this King and Queen of the
Well,
Ring
the
show.
King and Queen of the Ring was actually formed by NWS many years ago, and then they were finding themselves with a lack of connections with women in wrestling. So WSU, they contacted WSU, and WSU invited women from its rosters to compete, and NWS pretty much lines up the girls with their tag partners. Personally, the men that are competing in the J Cup, I rather have just seen all the women do a battle royal and Uncensored Rumble that night instead of tagging with these men, because no offense, but the women of WSU are a hell of a lot stronger and talented than the men of NWS. So I'm not a lot of people know this. I'm not a huge fan of NWS. They're not a huge fan of Amy Lee. They feel as though big girls don't belong in wrestling. I feel as though carnival people should retire. So we don't see eye to eye on things, So I won't be participating in any way with that show. I'm strictly involved with the WSU promotional things. Anything they co-promote in the sense of with NWS, we have an agreement that I do not participate in. But any other co-promoting with other promotions or in other areas of the country or the world, I am definitely a part of, just not with that organization there. They don't like me, and honestly, I have no respect for them. So
Shame on them.
that's their laws. Yeah, it's funny because they used to say, "Oh, nobody wants to see a big girl wrestle a little girl." That's funny because Awesome Kong, whatever you want to call her, Karma, she's a big girl. And she wrestles, and she's quite entertaining and pretty strong and big ass kicker. So kind of funny that they make a comment like that because they basically just put their foot in their mouth, when they make a stupid comment that like that, because to me that just proves you're an incompetent moron and you don't know how to promote wrestling. And that's why Sean the Mick McCafferty and the WSU management, when they do co-promotions like that with NWS, they take control of the matter, so that way the girls are safe, and they don't make a mockery out of any of the women, because they've known to do that in the past. So
I mean, Awesome Kong, Amazing Kong, Karma. She was the face of TNA when she was there. I mean,
Yes,
you
yes.
didn't hear a lot of people talking about the guys. I mean, the
No,
woman.
she actually held that company together for quite a few months. It was her, Nikki Rocks, ODB. There was a Daphne. There was a lot of girls that were in there, like Taylor Wilde and stuff like that were in there that held that company together. Where the men couldn't get the job done, the women did. And I think there was a lot of resentment and jealousy back then of that.
All right. Again, I am joined with Primetime Amy Lee here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio's 1 year anniversary show. Not even technology can stop this show from going on. Um, and let alone have Primetime Amy Lee on here. So, is there anyone from WSU, or better yet, anyone that has yet to wrestle in WSU? Anyone that you would like to see at least be have a match there, or let alone be an active member of the show? Is there anyone that you would like to at least get take a glimpse of WSU? Anyone out there?
I would like to see Melanie Cruz come compete in WSU. I think she has a lot to offer and bring to the table. I'd like to see her. Um, I would also like to see Jamie Dauncey up from the Canada area, who was trained by superstar Billy Graham. I'd like her to come because she is not only a professional wrestler but a professional bodybuilder and power lifter. So she's a pretty strong girl. I like to see her come in. There are some girls down south that I like to see. I like to see Fantasia involved. I mean, not to be funny, WSU gets a lot of offers, of girls coming in and things like that. The 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 thing is the problem, I should say, with bringing girls in from other areas is you have to worry about flights being canceled, them no showing and things like that. So if you advertise, let's say for instance, we advertise you to come in and you're going to be special commentary. We have to fly you in and all this other stuff and provide a hotel room, which is fine. Then all of a sudden your flight gets canceled
Right.
that day, and then you're flying in. The first flight they can get you out is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, pay-per-view starts at 5. So that means say your flight's 3 hours, you're landing at 5 o'clock when it's starting. So how can you be a guest commentary and put your best foot forward? And stuff, and WSU bring you up to speed, up to par with things. If you're just walking in the door, if you're just landing at the time that the IPPV or the double taping is taking place, so it's a risky thing, and I talk to people about it a lot of times, but that's the thing that they worry about. They don't want to rely on people flying in, and then it's not because they're not going to show up. It's so much of the airlines and how they have problems all the time, and their delays and this, that, and the other, and they bump your flight, bump you off your flight and everything. So, you can't really take a chance because that's the fans. Remember, all wrestling promotes, whether it's WWE or whether it's Joe Schmo's backyard wrestling, or I shouldn't say backyard wrestling, I should say Joe Schmo's local wrestling. The fans is what makes the promotion. The fans pay the bills, not us. Of course, you put some money in there, but the fans' ticket sales, merchandise purchases, and things like that, they are what keeps companies like WSU running, and all the other promotions. Same with WWE and TNA and all them. That's what keeps them afloat, is the fans. So it's not fair to a fan that you're going to advertise someone to come in, and then they, because of a flight issue, they're not there. The fan gets disappointed. The fan gets angry. The fan then harasses the rest, like, what happened? I did, I took off from work today because you're in the area, making a special appearance in the area, and then your flight, you know what I'm saying? So, and then if a wrestler is booked and they're from a distance and they wind up wrestling the night before or 2 nights before or a week before and they get hurt and they can't wrestle, again, you're causing a problem. Whereas these girls on the WSU roster, they pretty much are dedicated to WSU, and, WSU comes first. And, of course, by all means, don't get me wrong, Sean and Mick and the rest of the management at WSU do not stop the girls from spreading their wings and competing elsewhere, But, they know their priority is WSU because that's who put them on the map. That's who's getting them recognition. That's who's getting their name out there. So there's a loyalty there. There's a ladies' agreement, as I like to say. Most people say gentleman's agreement, but I like to say between the ladies, there's an agreement with the management office. So
I definitely understand where you're coming from. Circumstances. It happens.
sure,
You trying to you put out the best talent that you can put out. For not just New York and New Jersey area, but all over the country and so forth. And an airplane delay or whatever may mess
right,
everything up. So, it, like any other organization, you got to be aware or a machine. You got to make sure everything is on point. And so I can understand why a lot of people that wants to be at WSU have to drive long or fly a long way,
right,
and
exactly,
stuff like that
right.
happen. Um, Again, you can follow Prime Time Amy Lee at Amy Lee 869. Check her website at amyleecentral.com, and please check out the website wsuwrestling.com. Follow them on Twitter at WSU Wrestling for all the news about the King and Queen of the Wing show and the J Cup show. Should be another remarkable month for WSU, fresh off of the 5 year anniversary show. Um, Amy, it was great talking to you once again. This is the third time I've interviewed you this year, and every time I interview you, I have a blast. Uh,
Thank you, sweetie. I always love coming on here because you're such a gentleman, and it's nice to talk to somebody that understands and has great knowledge of wrestling and just doesn't talk to hear himself talk. So I wish you nothing but the best in the future. I constantly plug your show, and I just wish you another successful, well, I should say many successful years with your show.
Thank you so much, and I definitely wish you and WSU another five, bunch of years ahead. I mean, WSU is without a doubt is what women wrestling is all about. And if people don't know what WSU is, get your ass off under the rug where you coming from and check them out. These are women that put their heart, their soul, their blood, their sweat, their tears in that ring on any given night. And I dare any other organization to do what WSU can do because no one else can. Um, and again, just when I'm getting riled up, effing Skype has dropped the ball. Uh, it's either I say I'm blaming myself on. Oh man, we're gonna get Amy back in one more time before we get Great Cheyenne on the line. Uh, Here we go. Here, this is internet radio, baby. Internet radio at its finest. When even technology don't necessarily go according to plan. I'm clicking the answer button and it just won't let me go through. Gotta love technology, man. Well, Grace Cheyenne's about to call in, and I hope I have better luck with her. Casey called in just fine, and yet this won't do. So you know what? I'm gonna call her again, and we'll see how that goes. I want to at least say goodbye to her. You know, I'm gonna at least say goodbye. And to all those that was just in the chat room, thank you for listening. Thank you for the support. Um, we're gonna get Amy Lee in one more time. I can at least say goodbye. We'll see what happens. Prime time, Amy Lee. Well, that's Jeff.
Hello?
Hey, Amy.
Hello?
Hey, Amy. You're back.
Hello?
Hey, Amy. You're back. Prime time, Amy Lee. Back on the line. I just want to say before I let you go completely, thank you so much for your time, and you have a good night. That's just at least I want to say goodbye instead of technical difficulties popped up. And apparently, I didn't think she could hear me. The connection not looking all that good. But I do have Great Cheyenne calling in soon. So who knows? I may have both Amy and Cheyenne in at the same time. Who knows? I still got some TNA discussion to discuss, and I still got a lot of stuff to go over. So yeah, now we was talking about she talked about WWE and travels and what's going on there. Um, I will. She mentioned Melanie Cruz. She mentioned a couple other people. Um, I think it would be, as far as who I think I would love to see from WSU. Who do I think? I'm guess the only person I could think of is probably Mickey James. I would like to see her get a shot at WSU. Um, Mickey James, I would like to see her give it a shot. I know there's TNA talent there, when they have free time. So Mickey James would be a good choice, obviously. I would love to see that. Another person. Who else? Has Sarah Del Rey been in WSU yet? I don't think she's had. I know she's been on Shimmer a lot, but I don't think she's ever been in WSU. I would love to see her in WSU. So yeah, definitely Mickey James and Sarah Del Rey. Or better yet, let them have those two face each other, and we'll see how that goes. Um, I'll look Mickey James and Sarah Del Rey on my wish list to WSU. um, Still to come, I'm gonna talk about TNA Impact and make my predictions for the pay-per-view lockdown coming up. I appreciate you all for being here on this 1 year anniversary show. Fozzy was here, Sign Guy was here, Travis Guy, Travis Hayes was here, Andrew Chaos, Wackerman, Smooth Gentleman still here. Um, Hopefully you're not having any audio problems or anything like that. Um, Speaking of TNA, as I talked to Smooth about it, I believe, well, I don't believe, I know now, TNA and Spike TV have agreed on a multi-year extension, which will also include new shows. New shows are coming for TNA Wrestling. Um, they've been on Spike TV since 2005 or 2006, I believe. So, okay, getting the word from Smooth, it's all good audio wise. But as I taught this move, as far as TNA, I mean, yes, the knockouts, highest rated portion of the show. And now I believe my last guest, the Great Cheyenne, is calling in. I hope Skype will work this time. Great Cheyenne coming to you from the Midwest of Chicago. I mean, if I had to describe Amy Lee, Great Cheyenne, Casey Carlisle, one word, it would definitely be intimidating. Great Cheyenne joining me right now on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio's 1 year anniversary show. Good evening, Cheyenne.
Good evening. Happy anniversary. It's great to see you surviving and thriving.
I'm trying to survive this whole show all put together. I mean, this show has had its share of how do I say this, technical difficulties for the last 10, 15 minutes or so. But the shows, I think it's back to its normal course now. So, and I got you in on the first attempt. So, Skype has been acting up as of late.
Yeah.
So I thought at least give you a heads up.
All right. Well, sounds like you got it all under control over there. I mean, these things happen. So,
Yeah. So I want to talk about your recent OVW appearance a couple of weeks ago. You had a
okay.
match against Taylor Hendricks, the OVW Women's Champion. You've been in OVW occasionally, but that was like a match you had with Taylor. What was it like being in the ring with Taylor?
Oh, it was awesome. I had a blast beating the heck out of her. It was definitely a blast. She's a strong little, pretty dolly. I don't know what you would call her, but she's pretty. She's petite, and she's OVW's top contender in the ring. So she can hold her own.
Now I
I'm
want to talk. What's that in the background?
I'm getting an echo now.
Oh, well, again
Oh,
with.
you're talking about my birds.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have doves.
Oh, okay. Um, so the last time I had you on the show, we talked mostly about your wrestling career. But we really didn't get to talk about the pairing between you and the great Malachi. I think y'all go by Hairfire Sympathy. Uh,
Hellfire Symphony.
yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about that while you're here.
Okay.
How did that came about between you and Malachi?
That came about. I entered the business about over 11 years ago, and he was training where I had started training, which was at Windy City. Um, a lot of times in the business, guys will just let girls slip by. It doesn't matter if they do something right or not. But Malachi was one of those individuals that he's painstakingly truthful, and he's very respectful of the business. So he just really drilled into me and made sure that if I was doing something wrong, he would tell me, no, you can't do it like that. You got to do it over or don't do it. So that right away attracted me to want to train with him, and we've been training since since back then. Um, Around here, a lot of feds wouldn't stay open, so we would constantly be bouncing from one fed to the other, and it was one of those things where we just took to trying to work with each other to get better and find the right place to train, which around here was hard anyway. And it just on road trips, ideas just came about. And since we were pretty serious about being in the business and wrestling and traveling, we just kind of made a gimmick together, and that's how it was born. And it's just progressed through the years on road trips where we get ideas. We're cruel to each other in the sense where if we do something we didn't like at a show, we can critique it afterwards on the way back, and that's how we've improved what we do and worked on it, and by being very critical towards each other, and it's worked out.
That's definitely good to know. In the wrestling business, there's people you can trust, there's people you can't trust. But you and Malachi have to bond and critique one another and being on the same page. That is saying something. And y'all being on the same page, Um,
Yep, I think first and foremost we're committed to the business, and our love for the wrestling business is what has helped us just keep hanging in there. Um, we train at the gym, so we spot each other. We train in the ring, and it's just I think it works good. It's a good tag team.
so, do you have any goals you have setting for yourself in 2012 going forward?
Oh, I have plenty of goals, and One would be to become a staple at OVW. Um, they're they're different goals. You know, I just would like to travel more, leave the country again. Um, Obviously, WWE and TNA are everybody's dream. But we're just striving to keep working, keep getting matches, and just keep improving what we do and honing our craft.
You being in Illinois and all, that is the home place for Shimmer. Is that something you would consider doing?
Oh, absolutely. Um, I just haven't had the, you know, they require quite a bit when you send in your stuff, and unfortunately, I don't have enough time to put all these things together. I haven't sat down to really put that all together, but that's definitely something I have in my sights for the future. Shimmer has a bunch of women that are really top contenders, people I would love to be in the ring with. So it's definitely something I would invite or welcome if the opportunity arose.
And you recently made your return to MLW. You had a couple of matches. For those don't know MLW Custom Wrestling website, um, you get to book matches for wrestlers and stuff. What was it like being back at MLW?
No, MLW's locker room is always a blast. Again, another instance where there's a bunch of talented female wrestlers, and it was a blast because I wrestled matches in one day, and it's not something that you can do often. Um, any ring time I get is always a blast for me. So if I get to wrestle 8 different females in one day, 8 different matches, it's for me, it's just the utmost of having a wonderful time.
And I guess you can download Great Cheyenne's matches over at MLWonline.com. She's had multiple matches on the website. Go check them out, MLWonline.com. And I'm sure Thomas will invite you back again at some point. Um, so let me ask you this, Cheyenne. What's your take on women wrestling right now? As far as you have a lot of talented women wrestlers than ever. Companies are You got companies that's giving women wrestling a platform. What's your take on women wrestling right now?
Um, you have to excuse me because I'm getting an echo back in my ear, so I'm trying to talk over myself.
Okay.
What I think on women's wrestling right now is that there's some awesome companies that are doing wonderful things for women's wrestling and actually giving them a platform to show their talent. WSU, Shimmer, like you mentioned, um, Amber O'Neill's Fed. There's quite a few places that are actually doing something with women's wrestling, and it's reputable and it's credible. It's awesome. The problem I have is when you have the sexist situations, or when you have the big leagues just not occupying, just not utilizing their talent properly. Like a 3-minute match that's a mistletoe match or a pillow fight. It just doesn't display what these talented women can actually do out there. And it doesn't reestablish a respect for wrestling in itself, much less for women's wrestling. But I guess everything, has its place, and those things create more fans, and they get more revenue. So that's always going to be there, but that's just something that I frown upon. So I'm like a big fan of Jessica Havoc and Mercedes Martinez and Sarah Del Rey, people who are actually doing things in the business that are making people change their opinion of how and what we do. Japanese wrestling, that's always been something that I've appreciated. Women's wrestling in Japan is just phenomenal. women's wrestling in Mexico too. That's just it's awesome. The Lucha Libre Fed out there, they utilize their women quite decently. From my point of view, but I just don't like the panties matches and the pillow fights and the cat fights. It's, to me, it's just ridiculous. But like I said, I know it creates revenue, it makes money, so it's always going to be there. So I really don't try to spend too much time on it. What I do is when I go in the ring, I just try to do what I feel I could do best.
I definitely agree as far as the gimmick matches. I guess the bras and panties and all that type of stuff. Obviously, WWE has toned that down. But the 3 minutes or short amount of time that they have to be on national television, and I guess the talent that they have, with the exception of Beth Phoenix and Natalia, they're the top two talented wrestlers. And I mean, what do you think? Is it a storyline? Is it a writer's thing, or is it just the talent that they have out there?
I think that yeah, I don't even mind the storyline. I don't even mind gimmicks because what Malika and I do is it's a gimmick. The Hellfire Symphony, I'm from Hell. I mean, gimmicks are awesome. They have their place in the business as well. You know, Kane's wearing his mask again, and that's awesome. I think what it is underutilizing their talent. I mean, you could still do the gimmicks and the bra and panties match and still do an actual match where they're really putting it in there and they're utilizing their talent and not their boobs and their butt. You know, but, I mean, that's just me.
Again,
And that's
I
just my opinion.
again I'm joined with the great Cheyenne and her birds over at Triple Threat Wrestling Radio's 1 year anniversary show. Cheyenne, it was great talking to you. Um, Again, best of success to you. And I definitely got to set up an interview with Malachi at some point. So I guess I'll leave him a tweet and then we'll go on from there. But again, thank you for your time. I hope you
Thank
come,
you.
and I hope the next time you come to Kentucky, I'll actually be there to see you wrestle in person.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to meet you in person. And I'll take a moment to just congratulate you on your year and hang in there and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Best success to you and Malachi going forward. You have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. That was my last guest of the evening, the great Cheyenne. You can follow her on Twitter at the GR8 Cheyenne, and you can add her and like her on Facebook under the name The Great, as in one name, Cheyenne as the last name. I think I may have interviewed three of the most intimidating female wrestlers in women's wrestling. Casey Carlisle, she's intimidating. She was very nice to me, but in that ring, she's intimidating. Prime Time Emily, intimidating. Grace Cheyenne, intimidating. You know, you can't get any better than that. Um, just a side note here. I've been on Wednesdays for the last 3 weeks now, and I will be back on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour show starting next week. And since I've already discussed SmackDown of this past Tuesday, I'm only going to recap Impact, Raw, and Lockdown next Thursday. And I'm going to be joined with one of WSU's talent, Jenny Rose, the wrestler formerly known as Jamila Craft. She done some wrestling over at Japan, so I'm definitely looking forward to talk to her about her experience in Japan. Jenny Rose. Oh man! And again, Casey, call out if you happen to listen to the podcast or whatever. Don't shoot the messenger. But Smooth Gentleman said Casey is 5'2". She's a squirrel. uh, and I wonder why I'm happy to do these interviews call in instead of video, so that in case if I do say anything smart, Alec, they won't hit me with a headlock or something. I mean, these are trained professionals. I'm telling you, man. So yeah, Triple Threat Wrestling Radio will be back next Thursday, which means Smooth Gentleman can be on as long as 2 hours as he wants. He is Wednesdays on ITMI, so you got all Wednesdays for yourself completely. Starting next week, I will be back next Thursday. So I was winting Wednesdays for 3 weeks, and now I'll be back on Thursday. And hopefully Jeff will be joining me once his hiatus comes to an end. Um, Now I'm gonna go ahead and get to the TNA Impact portion of the show. Um, Here we go. If I can find it in my notebook paper. Yeah, here it is. Here we go. Here we go. On to the Impact portion of the show. Bully Way, I have a lot of respect for you as a tag team wrestler, Dudley Boys 3D. But do you really have to keep showing off your calves, calling yourself Calfzilla? I mean, come on. And then you would think Bully Ray has some personality and charisma in him. I believe he does. But all he can say is, do you know who I am? I mean, do you guys and gals care about the calves? Obviously, I don't. Bully Ray with his calves, you know. First we dealt with the pythons, now we're dealing with the calves. I mean, you don't interest me with your calves. It's all about what you do in the ring, Mr. Bully Ray, sir. Um, as I look around here, I'm happy and I'm excited that my favorite tag team in TNA has made their return. That will be the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and the returning Chris Sabin. Now, of course, Alex Shelley had a X Division title opportunity against Austin Aries. Um, yeah, only the TNA writers do, obviously. Those who don't have as big as calves as Bully Ray does. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's unwatchable as far as I'm concerned. Uh, let's see here. Hogan and Bischoff confront one another. Do I get the feeling that either Hogan or Sting go to be turning heel? Sting's taking some time off, recovering, or whatever. And you know either Hogan or Sting's gonna turn heel. Hogan's gonna do some things that drive Sting nuts, and Sting's gonna wanna get his power back or something. I mean, these guys are just a bunch of power trip, I tell you. Don't you just get the feeling? I'm just waiting for either Hogan or Sting to turn heel. Oh, how about Eric Bischoff mentioning Ric Flair? You a two-time Hall of Famer. As referring to him being inducted to the Hall of Fame again, Four Horsemen, WWE Hall of Fame. So there was a WWE mentioning, sort of. Um, but I read one of your tweets, Smooth, about Ric Flair. Maybe they should give him a big storyline, fresh off of the Hall of Fame, and that maybe, you get some more viewers there. introduce new viewers at least. But Ric Flair, you know, all he does is woo. And nowadays he's like the manager of one Gunner. So obviously he's TNA just don't got nothing for him other than him being a manager. You know, and, Jeff and I have talked about this mostly for a year. You know, they like the Boston, they like the Boston Celtics, they like the San Antonio Spurs. They got old people, man. They got old folks, and at some point you gotta get the youth in there. You got Gunner, you got Crimson. That's pretty much all you got as far as young guys. Garrett Bischoff is gonna have to show me a little bit more before I can put him in that category with Crimson and Gunner. Those are your two young guys. Those are your features. Uh, as for Ric Flair, that's pretty much it. I think that was the last big thing for Ric Flair, and after that, he's in the back burner. Ric Flair is pretty much in the back burner. This is a case of guys being on for way too long, and this is all TNA got for you. That's all they got from you is you being a manager. And well, how old is he? He's in his 60s, 70s now. You know, what else they gonna do with Nature Boy? Now you could either give him high power, maybe commissioner or executive vice president of talent relations. I don't know. I don't know what else they're gonna do. A general manager, commissioner, whatever. But there's nothing else for Flair to do. So you might as well enjoy your role while you can, because as TNA, you got a new extension. It's trying to get the ball rolling. Y'all been on Spike TV since 2005, 2006. Uh, and yes, you still got people that performs at a high level. I truly believe Kurt Angle, to this day, he still performs at a high level, even with his multiple neck injuries. You got crazy ass Jeff Hardy. He's in, he's out. He's in, he's out. And yet fans still can't get enough of him. You got Mr. Anderson. You got, of course, Bobby Roode and James Storm. You got a lot of people. But it's time. You got the new contract. I don't know. Spike TV need to do something. But, Spike TV, of course, WWE, they had their friendship until things fell apart on the last telecast when Vince McMahon promoted that they were going back to USA Network, and Spike TV wasn't happy with that, and are parting ways, and WWE's back on the USA Network. But it's time. I keep hearing from Hulk Hogan. I keep hearing from fans. TNA is gonna take that next step. That they can do it. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to do better ratings wise. Your ratings is about, you get averaged about 1 million. You averaged about a 1.5, 1.6 in 2012 thus far. You got wrestlers from WWE and other organizations. You don't have these guys in their prime. You got there at the end of their careers. I don't know how long Kurt Angle's gonna be there, or Anderson, or Hardy, or any of these other guys. But you got OVW, and I talked to Smooth about this. I mean, you got them as a developmental system for a reason. What are y'all waiting for? Get the Spades, the Jones, the Switchblades. Hell, get the what's his name? The Silvio. If you're gonna get Silvio, you gotta get Mo Green. I'll tell you, Mo Green is a trip. He gets you entertained. I mean, he's kind of like that uncle that just has to be the light of the party. I'm telling you, I if I ever get married, I want Mo Green to be, you know, that not the best man. I want him to be at least participate in the wedding. I want him to maybe be the DJ or something. Like talking about get your mama ready. Act like you got some home training, and then they do the T-bowing and stuff. And if you're gonna get Silvio, you better get you gotta get Mo Green. Um, as for speaking of which, I do want to talk about Chris Silvio's TV title reign. I mean, he's there pretty much every week. He's out there competing. He's beating people with this super punch or whatever, a jumping punch for that matter. I think it's time for something new as a new TV champion at some point. But OVW, they got a lot going on, and I guess uh, Silvio's the last thought of their mind. But how is OVW going to fare now that Josette Bynum got full power? That means more talking time for her, more family time. What the future gonna hold for as of this point. Trailer Park Trash is in a Teddy Long state right now. What's the future hold for him? Um, but at least you got new tag team champions and Raul Lamada and Akita. Um, I don't believe there was a single women's match at the Saturday Night Special. I think Taylor Hendricks was out of town that weekend, so Tech McNeely was there and other people were there. Psychedelic Super Punch. I mean, I don't care if Silvio's a champion or not. I just want to see more green. I want more green in. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about the tie dye stuff, because he looking like he from the '70s rather than this current state. But I love OVW. I just think they're in the what right now as far as the women's division. I said it on Smooth Show and I'm saying it here. It's on vacation. Blossom Twins. I think they'll be back maybe in May. But where's CJ Lane? Where's Epiphany? Where's Terrence Shade's been released? Solo Dolan has been released. Um, and of course, you're gonna get other women wrestlers from other areas, from the Ohio area, in Midwest. You had Cheyenne match, and Hardcore Heather Owens is facing Taylor Hendricks on the TV taping. You'll see it sometime tomorrow online at ovwrestling.com. And of course, if you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, you get to see it on Saturday. So, but give me more green. Give me more green. If I get married, I want him to be the DJ or something. I want him to propose a toast or something. Yeah, propose a toast or something. Say something funky or something. It's got that in him. I would love to have Mo Green on this show. And now that I'm yeah. Terrence Shea and Solo Dolan have been released. I don't know exactly why. Well, I know Solo Dolan she's moved to Florida. She lives in Florida now, and she's wrestling, doing some wrestling shows at Florida. So I guess she wanted a change of scenery. But Terrence Shea has been released, and for a reason I don't know. But Kristen Muskakney mentioned on the OVW show that she's been fired. Okay, storyline wise, but now you go to OV Wrestling roster, you don't see Terrence Shea, you don't see Sholo Dolan on there. You still see the Blossoms, you still see CJ Lane, um, you still see. That's pretty much all you see, and Taylor Hendricks, of course. Um, Solo Dolan is now in Florida. Terrence Shea, she's doing shows. I'm guessing in the Indiana area now. So, uh, I like Terrence Shea too, and I like Solo Dolan. But they need to do something with the women division. That's they need to do something. You know, Epiphany lives in Ohio. CJ Lane lives in Indiana, and the TV tapings are in Kentucky. So I guess driving wise, they can't be there every single week. But Blossom Twins, I hope they get back soon and bring those cupcakes with them. I love the Blossom Twins. And speaking of twins, before I get into my lockdown predictions, yeah, I've been hearing it too. The Blossom, not the Blossoms, the Bella Twins may be on their way out of the WWE. Contract expires by the end of the month. Am I going to be upset that the Bella Twins are gone? Not really. I think they're nice girls. I think, look, it's to me, it's just like Kelly. They try, you know, they try. It's an effort thing to me. It's not just the wrestling. It's the effort. Are you willing to give and take? Give the beating and receive it. They are trying, but I guess they want to pour Maurice as far as they want to pursue other things. They want to be models. They want to go to parties and stuff. Woman wrestling, or in this case, divas careers don't last that very long. Let me go over the list of some of. I don't think there's been a single female wrestler that's been with the WWE for 10 years. That's when you know they've been on for a while. Jacqueline, great wrestler. She didn't last long. China, popular. She didn't last long. Candice Michelle, Maria Canales, Ashley Massaro, um, pretty much everyone that was on Diva Search. Michelle McCool, even Trish Stratus and Lita, their careers don't last long. There's no longevity when it comes to the Divas. Unless you're Wendy Witcher or you're Mae Young, who was on SmackDown yesterday, smooching all over the great Khali. And, Mae Young is like Betty White. She's a trip. You better keep the alcohol away from her because you never know what she's gonna do. But there's just no longevity. I guess nobody in the WWE wants to be there long term. Look at Trish Stratus. She's now doing yoga. She's doing yoga now. Lita, she was in a rock band, and now who knows what she's doing now. And Jazz, another a great wrestler, didn't last that long. Christy Hemme, who's now with TNA, her career didn't last that long. She's now the ring announcer. Of course, she had injuries, which is why she's doing the ring announcer thingy. Um, Basically, it's not only the 2 3 minutes, the short segments. It's the longevity. No female in the WWE wants to be a wrestler long term. Is that another case of a knock on the WWE, perhaps? I say yeah. Look at TNA's roster. Look at Angelina Love. Look at Madison Rain. Look at Tara, who was in the WWE. Her career wasn't that long. I say the average amount for divas is like a good 3 to 4 years. And if you're lucky, it'll be 5, 7. Kind of like Trish Stratus and Lita and Michelle McCool. I think that will be another knock on the quote unquote divas division. It's because their talent don't last very long. It's like they want to focus on other things. Where in TNA, all they want to do is wrestle. You're not going to see Angelina Love, Madison Rain. You're not going to see um, the other. You know what? Mickey James, another person on the WWE. Her career in the WWE don't last long. It's no longevity. Where the guys, Cena, Orton, 10 plus years and counting. You know, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's not only it's the short matches and the short segments. Brooke Adams, now known as Test Marker. Uh, there's just no longevity. You know, I get the knock on them is that you know they get caught in this whole sports entertainment, and they think, okay, I'm gonna do more than wrestling. I'm gonna be an actress. I'm gonna be a party girl. I'm gonna I'm gonna be in music videos. I'm gonna do all sorts of things. Over at TNA, you're not gonna get too much of that. You know, the only three ladies. You can go back. You can go back to the Attitude Era. Dawn Marie, her career didn't last long. Tori Wilson, Stacy Keebler. Um, I mean, damn. No longevity. You got wrestlers like Casey Carlisle, Amy. The wrestlers for now. I guess to be fair, it is a 52-week schedule. It is a tough gig, but if you really care about this wrestling business, that's the only thing you should think about. You wrestle. You go out there and compete. Now, is it Vince McMahon? Is it the writers? Who knows? But it's not just the short matches, short segments. It's the lack of longevity. There's a reason why Mickey and Tara and other former divas are now at TNA because they want wrestling more. That's what they want. Let me go ahead and quickly get into the knockout, not the knock, the TNA lockdown pay-per-view predictions for the last 3 minutes. Wrapping up this 1 year anniversary show. Crimson versus Matt Morgan. I don't think we need to go any further. Crimson undefeated streak continues. Robbie E versus Devon for the TV title. Doesn't tickle my fancy, but I go with Devon. Velvet Sky versus Gail Kim. Gail Kim has had quite a run as Knockouts champion, but I think Velvet Sky. I think it's time for her to get that second title reign. So I'm gonna go with Velvet Sky. Motor City Machine Guns, my favorite TNA tag team, taking on Magnus and Samoa Joe. What do a lot of people think about Joe and Magnus? I don't think too much other than two strong guys that TNA pair with. But I think as much as I want to see Motor City Machine Guns walk out with the gold. I think they're gonna at least give Joe and Magnus another ride, a longer reign or whatever. So we shall see. I'm going with Magnus and Joe. Team Eric versus Team Garrett. If Garrett's team wins, then Bischoff is done. And Eric Bischoff is done. If Team Eric wins, Garrett is done. Oh, and by the way, Eric Bischoff can no longer use the Bischoff name. Ah, you already have to rotate some people. Sting is gone. I mean, you need some people, I guess. So, Eric Bischoff, I think I'm going to go with Team Garrett, I guess. Main event, Bobby Roode versus James Storm. That's going to be the match of the night right there. I'm probably go with... Now, it's going to be in James Storm's home state. I'm going to go and pick Bobby Roode. Yeah, I'm going to pick Bobby Roode to spoil James Storm homecoming, home state coming night and retain the gold. Again, I want to thank Primetime Amy Lee. I want to thank Casey Carlisle. And I want to thank the great Cheyenne for all calling in on the 1 year anniversary show. That about wraps it up from here. Side note, Triple Threat Wrestling Radio will be back on Thursday next week, the 19th, 8 to 9 p.m. Recapping Lockdown, Impact, and Raw. Getting closer to the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Thank you all for your time. My favorite Wednesday show, season finale, Psych is on. So I'm just going to pretty much say good night, everybody. I am Kenny C, and that concludes the 1 year anniversary show of Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. And I'll see y'all this Saturday on Channel 1 Jeff and Kenny C. And I'll see you next Thursday night right here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. You all have a good night.